Hi there, it is Jennifer. Welcome to my channel. This is going to be video 9 and 10 combined in my little video series where I have been documenting myself using the glucose lowering hacks by author and biochemist Jessie Inchauspe. She wrote Glucose Revolution and the Glucose Goddess Method. I have been reading and working out of both of those. If this is your first time here, I have A1C numbers. My A1C numbers in November of 2024 were back into the pre-diabetic range. I have been yo-yoing in and out of that range over the last 5 years. Also, my fasting glucose levels were the highest that they had been over a 5-year period, and they were in the high range. So, not good. I have been offered metformin as a way to manage that, but I've asked my family practice doctor if I could try a few different things to see if it was possible for me to manage my A1C numbers and my glucose numbers naturally. You know, one thing she had said to me, she's like, for some people, it's just genetic. It doesn't matter what you do. I am hoping to be one of those people who can manage it with lifestyle. That is what I have been documenting myself doing so far. I just got in from a doctor's appointment and I am in desperate need of coffee. What I'm going to do is I'm going to brew a cup of coffee. It's honestly slightly a little too late to have a cup of coffee. It's 1 p.m., but honestly, I really need it to help me power through this day. I'm going to get that going. Then I'm going to fill you in on where I left you last. In my last video, which was video 8, it was April 16th. I was getting ready to have a 4-day staycation, a four night, 5-day little local getaway for my 54th birthday. And I documented that, and that was a really wonderful time. And then after that, my family was busy prepping for and then decorating over a 2-day period, and then attending a wonderful wedding of some dear friends of ours, and it was delightful, very, very busy. I knew that those two things were coming up and that I was going to be very occupied. I did not want to add on another hack. And I have loved taking my time adding these hacks. There are 10 hacks. I'm glad I just did one after the other, like 1 week, 1 week, 1 week. My goal with these hacks is to create a lifestyle, and I didn't want to rush it by design. So far, in the 10-week period that I've been working on these hacks, I've actually only added 3. I've been working on my savory breakfast, my vinegar drink, and my veggie starter. And it has become a part of me now, which is and was the goal originally. Now, I know that this way of eating is going to take me well into my future, regardless if I have to get on metformin or not. It'll be a great way of eating if I do have to manage my blood sugars by way of medication, or it's going to be a great way of eating to help me prevent my A1C numbers from dipping back into the pre-diabetic pool and so on. I have really loved that. And when I knew I was going to be busy with my little birthday celebration. I knew I was going to be busy with the wedding. I, by design, did not want to add on another hack, but I knew that I wanted to implement the hacks during this very busy stage. And because it's become so much a part of me now, it was very, very easy to do. Hallelujah. I have got the necessary coffee. And what I want to do is I'm going to go find a place to get comfortable. I will tell you how I managed the hacks while I was away from my little birthday celebration, how I managed my sweets, because I did indeed enjoy some sweets, how I have been managing just being really busy all surrounding the wedding. Then I will share with you what the new hack is going to be. I'm going to take us out on a little walk. Well, actually, I've already done it. I filmed it the other day, and I'll tell you about that for this upcoming hack, and then tell you my plan for the week. So that will be what we're going to do. Well, some time has passed since I last saw you in that clip with my delicious hot coffee. I was sitting up here in my living room to film so I could tell you about my last couple of weeks and how the 3 hacks worked for me. When I could hear this sound, I'm like, what is that sound? It was so loud. oh my goodness, there were two sandhill cranes that landed right here in my neighbor's yard. I have never been so close to those creatures, and they're so loud. It was amazing. I have been out for the last hour. I didn't even have enough time to throw shoes on. I was out there in my socks, walking my streets, all in the yard, filming these amazing birds. Wow. They walked through my yard. They walked through the neighbor's yard. They went down the street. I don't know if it was the same pair that my husband and I saw last night. I was here in the living room. I could hear the sound. And I'm like, what on earth is that sound? And my husband's like, oh, that's sandhill cranes. And they were flying in, down our street in the air, circling down here. And it was so cool. And anyway, here they were in our neighbor's yard. Unfortunately, by the time I got out there, they were done with all their calling, but I got all kinds of wonderful footage. I'll insert a little clip here. My heart is full, and that is also part of health, isn't it? It is the body, the soul, and the spirit, and taking time to do things that you enjoy. And I love, now I'm not a professional or amateur, like a good amateur photographer, but I love capturing moments. I've always loved doing that. I've always loved being behind the camera, and was one of the reasons why I wanted to start a YouTube channel, because I do love capturing moments and sharing. Anyway, what I'm going to do is the hack for this week is movement. And I ended up going on a walk. I met with a wonderful artist friend of mine. Her name's Rhonda Swan McDonald. Such a pretty name, isn't it? And we met for lunch in an area here in Anchorage called Spenard. This is a location where a white raven spent a season with us, 2023 to 2024 winter season. She has already painted me a white raven painting, and I've asked her if she would do 2 more paintings for me. We met yesterday to discuss the next project. I love having an artist. I cannot do the work, but she can. And anyway, we had a wonderful lunch, but part of the movement, and I'm going to read to you excerpts from the Glucose Goddess book and the Glucose Revolution about movement and how you can use movement as a hack to help with your blood sugar. I will do that while I'm walking around. So what I did was, after I had this lunch with my wonderful artist friend, I used the movement hack after our lunch, and I just walked around in the neighborhood recording. I went looking for ravens. That is also something that I find great joy in. I love Alaska scenery. I love wildlife. I especially love ravens. And I spent a lot of time in this particular area walking these streets looking for this white raven bird, and amassed like over 6,000 photos and videos of this creature. And it is a hobby, something I very much enjoy doing. I went ahead and moved. I walked for about 45 minutes after my lunch and just had a really wonderful time. I recorded that. It's not necessarily the prettiest part of the city. I'm just walking the streets looking for ravens. But while I'm doing that, I will read to you from those books and share with you what Jessie says about movement. Because I have been working slowly on adding these glucose hacks to my lifestyle, it was so easy to implement them while I was away from my staycation and during the really busy wedding week. I worked on my savory breakfast, my vinegar drink, and my veggie starter. And it has become now a part of me. I just am naturally thinking about it. I am prepared for my savory breakfast. I'm thinking about my vinegar, and having, Jessie's challenge in the Glucose Goddess method is to have the veggie starter at least once per day, 1 meal per day. You could do it more than that, of course, but the goal is once per day. I had my vinegar drink with me at the hotel. I brought avocados and tomatoes. That way I had veggies, and I did use them before a couple of my breakfasts, and that was really wonderful. And then I just had veggie snacks if I felt like I wanted a snack. For a savory snack, I had some of those vegetables with a couple of protein bars that I had. I did the vinegar drink a couple of times before breakfast, but then also a couple times before my dinners. While I was away at the Hotel Captain Cook here locally, I dined at the Crow's Nest, and it was amazing food. The first 2 nights I did not have dessert, but I was saving myself for my birthday night. And then I thought potentially when my husband was with me for the final night of my stay, for my birthday, I had a delicious dessert. And one of the glucose hacks is that sugar is not a food group. It is for your dopamine only. Have it at the end of a meal, because if you have already food in your digestive system, it will slow down the uptake of the glucose. And that's exactly what I did. Then on my final night, when my husband stayed with me, we got several different desserts, and it was amazing. I saved myself for that time. And then on my 3rd day there, I did some filming in some of the stores that are in the hotel. There's a chocolate shop that I love to go to, and I recorded that for my 3rd video there. The owner gave me their turtles, and it was a dark chocolate turtle, because sometimes like the walnut parts break. And I was going to buy one because I was in filming a store and, asking him questions. And so I wanted to buy some chocolate too. First of all, it's delicious, but also to show respect because I was in a store, and he gave me one for free. What I did was I saved it for the next morning. I had a vinegar drink, I had a veggie starter, and then I had my chocolate turtle with a cup of coffee. And I was not deprived at all. It was absolutely wonderful. Same thing during this busy week. I just kept up that routine. Now I am adding movement. And we will go ahead, and I will just be reading to you now while I'm walking around. And I will see you in the next video. And thank you so much for watching. And let's read about movement. I am going to be reading to you from the Glucose Goddess Method book, and we are on week 4 in the book, and it's called Movement. And this is what Jessie says right here at the beginning of this chapter. She says, "Wow, you are amazing," as we ride into the 4th and final week of the method, because in the Glucose Goddess Method book, it is a follow-up to her first book where people were requesting, can you move in with me? How do I implement these hacks into my life? That is what inspired her to write this book as a tool to help people like you and me learn how to implement these hacks. And she focuses on 4 of them: savory breakfast, vinegar hack, veggie starter, and now movement. So she says, "Wow, you are amazing. As we ride into the 4th and final week of the method, just pause for a second and take in what you've done. You can be proud to have invested so much into your happiness and health." I love what she says here in the 2nd paragraph. She says, "I hope you've found that these hacks are slowly turning into habits for you and are becoming tools that you will keep in your toolbox for life." And that is how I have felt as I have taken my time adding these hacks, like I was mentioning earlier in the video, that it really has become now a part of my routine so far: my savory breakfast, the vinegar drink, and the veggie starter. And I love that, and I've really enjoyed it, and it's not difficult at all. And I've mentioned this in other videos. It's completely customizable to how you like to eat. Anybody can do it and make it in a way that they enjoy. And I have loved that, and it's absolutely become a habit. Now, she says, your objective during this final week, and this is for the book specifically, is to continue with your savory breakfast, vinegar, and veggie starter hacks, and to layer in something that does not involve eating or drinking, which is movement. She says, after 1 meal per day, and this is what I did after my wonderful lunch with my artist friend, I decided to walk around the neighborhood of Spenard, like I was saying. It was just a perfect time to get out and use this hack. So she says, after 1 meal per day, use your muscles for 10 minutes. Put simply, that means move after eating. You should do this ideally within 90 minutes of the end of your meals. And the movement can be as simple as going for a 10-minute walk, or doing calf raises at your desk, or as involved as corralling your colleagues and organizing an office dance party in the break room to your 3 favorite songs. Jessie goes on to say, some of you may already have some post-meal movement baked into your days. Walking to work after breakfast, going on a coffee break after lunch, doing the dishes after dinner, which means you are completing this objective every day without needing to be prompted. If so, great, keep going. If not, there are lots of ideas for you to do, and she says in the next few pages, and we'll go ahead and talk about a few of those. So she says, no more recipes this week, just focus on movement. And here is the science. She says there are multiple traditions that recommend walking after eating, such as the Indian custom of 100 steps after a meal, and they exist for a good reason. She says, as I explained in the introduction to this book, our cells need glucose for energy. And the main way we provide glucose to our cells is by eating sweet and starchy foods, which contain glucose. The problem is that our modern diets tend to deliver too much glucose too quickly to our body, far more than it needs or can make use of. This creates glucose spikes. She goes on to say, imagine, for example, you've just eaten a meal that leads to a glucose spike. As soon as this influx of glucose hits your body, two things can happen. If you stay sedentary, then the spike reaches its peak. Extra glucose will flood your cells and overwhelm your mitochondria. This increases inflammation and causes the excess glucose to be stored away in the liver, muscles, and fat. She says, on the other hand, if you move after eating, some of the glucose you have just eaten gets used up by your muscle cells. Your mitochondria turn the extra glucose into energy to fuel your contracting muscles, and the spike reduces. On a continuous glucose monitor graph, the difference is stark. Jessie says, and here's the kicker. When we move after eating, we flatten our glucose curve without increasing our insulin level, just as we do when we drink vinegar. Although our muscles usually need insulin to stash glucose away, they don't when they are in the act of contracting. They don't need insulin to take up glucose. This is excellent news, as reducing our insulin levels is a key factor that improves our health. Too much insulin in the body being the driver of many conditions such as polycystic ovarian syndrome and type 2 diabetes. Jessie goes on to say, all in all, moving for 10 minutes after a meal is a very powerful hack to flatten our glucose curves, and the joy is that it doesn't require us to change anything about what we eat. I am going to walk us across the street. As you can see, there are two ravens up flying. There were several around in this area, and they were really, really loud. So let's go over and check them out. There's a raven just flew from behind me. Hopefully we'll get some good raven shots. Oh, hear him. I hear him. Oh, here they are. I'm recording behind you, but I don't have you at all. I'm just getting them. Just so you know. Hi, beautiful birds. I am now making my way down this street that will lead to the Spinard Roadhouse restaurant. It's also where my truck is parked. So I've been on foot. I was probably walking around for about 30 to 40 minutes, taking my time recording ravens. You can see there's one up on a light post here, and there was one in the tree, and later on, I'll show you some ravens that were by the restaurant while I was sitting with my friend. It was so funny. There was a group of ravens that were in the dumpster and they were just having a ball, and it was really fun to watch them. But I do have a little bit of that recorded. I'll show you. But while I'm making my way back to the restaurant, I'm going to read you from the Glucose Goddess Method. Jessie has a list of ideas to complete the movement hack, and I want to read those to you. She says, okay, so I'm just going to read them in a row. Stretch, walk while listening to a podcast, or like me, go out, look for ravens, go out birding, go outside and stroll around for a bit, breathe in the fresh air, walk to or from somewhere or walk your dog, walk on a treadmill, do a 10-minute YouTube dance video, put on your 3 favorite songs and dance on your own, do the dishes, clean your kitchen or home, tidy, vacuum, repair something, go up and down stairs. If your job requires you to be on your feet, just continue doing that. Run an errand, go grocery shopping. Do seated calf raises, play with your kids, do some squats while watching TV, do jump squats, lift some heavy objects, weights or water bottles while watching TV, go to a Pilates class or any other type of class, go for a hike, bike, go to the gym, do any kind of exercise, play a team sport. So those are some of her ideas. And she does say that you can do the seated calf raises, sitting down and lifting and lowering your feet, getting up on the balls of your feet and then raising and lowering your heels, and do that for 10 minutes. And that activates a particular muscle, she says, that soaks up glucose from the blood. I am back at the restaurant. This is the dumpster where there were all kinds of ravens. I will now be adding specifically the movement hack to my 3 previous hacks. And in fact, I'm using the movement hack right now. This is what I had for dinner tonight. And I also had my veggie starter for dinner. I did my veggie starter, then I had my meatballs with spaghetti sauce and rice. I have been moving around for a good hour and a half, editing a couple of videos, tidying up the house. And that is how I have used the movement hack for today. All right, well, I will see you for video 11 next week. Bye-bye.